So first of all, let's change our base gun, this one we have here, to instead of just spawning projectiles directly, we're gonna use this like base weapon class thingy and use that to spawn these projectiles. That sounds pretty cool. Patch our current system before we start adding new stuff. So we have the weapon base. So first order of business, I don't even think we have a class for the grenade launcher or anything. It's just like, I think we spawn straight out of the face of the player, don't we?
Yeah, we spawn the projectile.
Oops. Or is that done? Is the hand shoot input? Yeah, oh yeah, we spawn and spawn right up. Okay, so that makes sense. So then we'll just make our grenade launcher then. So let's do a grenade. Is that how you spell grenade? With E? Grenade? It's how you spell it.
Yes.
I want no conflicts in this. And then grenades. Just give me this one, please. Grenade launcher.
Like the apples, right?
CPP. There we go. So we'll make it like a grenade launcher, and that's gonna be our current gun. Excuse me. So let's see, we'll do Pragma once. We will include the grenade launcher, or the weapon base, because we're gonna be inheriting from that, so I'll just include weapon base.h. Ah, come on. And I will include... Why is it lagging so much when I... Grenade... Base.generated.h. I see no problems with Visual Studio, it's perfect. I can't think of any downsides to using this IDE. So we'll inherit publicly, because why not? So we'll do weapon base. Go and generated body. Oops. Cool, we did it. So now we have our grenade launcher that's inheriting from weapon base. Wait. So how would we shoot? Do you guys have any ideas how we would be able to like shoot the gun and then override what happens when we shoot the gun? Do you guys have any like first ideas for how we would start implementing this?
Maybe a virtual or an abstract class in the weapon base that uses fire.
Yeah.
That then can override with each subclass.
I think that's a totally valid way of doing it. So let's do that. So I will make a virtual void fire. So we'll just call that, and then we'll override it in our weapons to do whatever needs to be done. Like so. So let's do not override. Whoops. Used fire like that. At least make it an empty function for now. Let's just say that the base class doesn't do anything. And as we learned, we cannot have pure. For some reason, we cannot have pure abstract functions in A actors or U objects at all, which sucks. So I wish I could just do like equal 0 here, but you can't. So that's it. Just will have to do nothing for a while. I can mark the class as abstract though. That's pretty good. So make sure it won't show up in a list, and we can instantiate it even if we wanted to. It's good practice. Alright, I'm actually going to generate project files because I think it's time. I think I've made enough stuff. Well, it's good to do this every once in a while. Drink some water. Always good. Hydrate. I'm like the Olympic champion at forgetting to drink water. Like I always lay in bed with like a headache. All of my sinuses are like clogged up with like goop, and I'm like, why is there no way? That's my life.
Millions years of evolution leading up to that.
Leading up to me laying in bed being angry at water existing. You could take like the first fish walking out of the water and you could draw like a straight line to me. Like, okay, I'm on this bit too much. I'm just gonna move on. But for some reason I'm getting an error here. Too many errors. Too many errors in IntelliSense and to function properly. Thanks, IntelliSense. You failed at your one job. Okay, expect and include at the top of the header.
2 errors.
Include grenade launcher. Grenade base? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. It's grenade launcher. Oh, why didn't you guys stop me? You're my ball plank. I throw, and you throw back.
We were too busy thinking about water.
Yeah, I guess good actually. I think that's.
You gotta teach us one thing at a time.
Yeah, I
You
can
gotta
only do one
teach us-
thing. It's either drink
Teach
water.
us Unreal or teach us to drink, right?
It's just drink water, Unreal. Those are the two options, and I have to pick one. Cool. So now we didn't. Yeah. Okay. So now we did it, but of course nothing's gonna change because we still don't use this like weapon-based class here. So I'm going to. Excuse me. Oh God. I'm going to infuck player. I'm gonna instead of so we kind of did what we're gonna do here. Instead of doing a tease-up class off for a projectile, instead I'm gonna do a tease-up class of weapon, and we're gonna use that to shoot. I don't think that's very like controversial. So I'm just gonna do edit defaults defaults only. Defaults only. There we go. So I'll make that a T subclass of. Oops. A weapon base. There we go. Whoops. And that will be our weapon class. God, it's so excruciatingly slow to type. Okay, so we'll remove the projectile class here. So we'll only have a class of weapon instead. Of course, we gotta forward declare it. Oops. A weapon base. Like so. And the way I would probably do this is that in begin play I would instantiate it. So at begin play I would create an actor of this type, because we gotta call the virtual function, right? We can't call the virtual function on the subclass off, because the subclass off is just like the type. It's not an actual instance of a weapon. So we need to instantiate the weapon to be able to call functions on it. So on begin play, I am going to take that class and like spawn an actor, and then we can use that actor to call functions on it. So I'm gonna virtual void this begin play. You don't need to make it virtual, but you know it's always good practice, I guess. Like so. What is the fuck? What is it? Control dot. Control dot. It doesn't have the thing in it. Why is there no? Oh, okay. It looked different. Alright, so we're begin play. So we're gonna spawn the actor here. So I'm just gonna do spawn actor. Oh, it's world, right? Okay, so we gotta get world. And then arrow. Spawn actor. Just gonna draw an arrow real quick. Alright, there we go. So we have a few things here. U class. We could probably use this one. So here's just U class, and then it's just it's spawn parameters, right? And we don't care what it is, because in the end, like, okay, after a while we might do like, so the weapon is actually like a gun, and we attach the gun to our face or something. But for now, the actor doesn't actually look like anything. The actor doesn't have a root component or anything. It actually doesn't even have, it doesn't have a root component even. So it won't be anywhere. It will just sort of exist as just a concept, I guess. So we don't really need like these spawn parameters. We don't need to set a transform or anything. We can just put the class in and just let the spawn actor just put it wherever. So I'm just gonna only input the class and nothing else. So I'm just gonna do weapon class like so. And we'll make it a T. We'll use the templates version, and we want to get a weapon base out of it. So the template version won't really do anything different. The only thing is that we'll return, it will return the result as an a weapon base pointer. That's really the only difference between the template version and the non-template version. So I will just make another property here. Use the a weapon base pointer, and that's just going to be the instance of the weapon. So we'll just call it weapon. There we go. So we're gonna set the weapon class from blueprint, and then we're gonna instantiate it into this pointer. So let's set the weapon here. There we go. Does this make sense to you guys, what I just did here?
Reasonably, yeah.
Reasonable sense. That's good enough. That's all we can really
One
ask for.
question I have is like, how will the weapon follow the player, or is it just like a manager that shoots stuff out of a like transform-ish?
Yeah, so right now it's not attached to anything. It doesn't even have a root component, right? If I go to the weapon base, go! What are you doing? Go! Where the hell isn't it going? Go. Does this one work? Am I pressing the right thing? Guys, I'm panicking.
Control left click.
I'll do control left click. No, not there! I missed! I'm a gamer! Okay, so there we go. So it doesn't have any components on it. It doesn't even have a root component. And a actor by itself doesn't have any components either. You're supposed to add them yourself. So if an actor doesn't have a component, it doesn't have a position, right? Because remember, the way we did it or the way the position of an actor is defined is its root components position. So the transform of the actor is by definition the root components transform. So if we don't have a root component, if we don't have any components, the transform doesn't exist. And I don't actually know what will happen. Hopefully it works. It would be cool to just have an act. It would sort of be like a manager, like you said. It would just be like an object with no transform. It just sort of exists as a concept, I guess. That would be cool if that works. So yeah, it will not shoot out of like a barrel right now. It will just give it a transform. We'll give it like a player, I guess, to be like, oh, shoot from this player, and then we'll just do whatever it needs to do from that player. But later on, we'll give these models and we'll attach them to the face and stuff. We will do that a little bit later. But good observation to be like, what are we actually doing? It's good to always think about that. Like, what will this be? How will this show up in the engine? So we shouldn't be able to compile now. It should give us errors because I've changed stuff, and I didn't change it properly. Hold on, I'm getting a package. Hey, Mr. John? Yes, jag ska in dig.
Back to Into the Breach, I guess.
Now for a quick intermission break.
What is that
Okay,
about?
give me a second. I'm just gonna pick
Is
up
that
this
just a
package.
game you first started playing, or like Into the Breach?
Well, yeah, yesterday.
Ah,
I think I got it free on Epic or something the other day, so
ooh,
I haven't played it before.
gotta check that out.
It's addictive and fun, like simple and smart. It's not that deep that you would maybe spend 50 hours on it, but it's nice to have, like, it's turn-based, so it's not stressful. You can just leave the window up and do other stuff in between, and kind of nice to have.
It's the people that made FTL, right?
Yeah, they did FTL, exactly. So it's similar in a way, but with well, your mechs on islands instead of people on a spaceship.
Yeah,
That's
it
really
has a
neat.
lot of it has a lot of like movement, or you move around stuff. Like the positioning becomes super important. I think. But
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
on a grid. Yeah. I think.
Check out my package, guys.
Right.
Gotta...
Oh. Give us the camera.
Oh, it takes two.
Awesome.
Nice.
Nice
Oh, that's
poster
sweet.
where everyone's signing thing. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
So,
There's mine. Fuck's mine? There it is. Ah! That's how I drew it as a kid, so I thought it would be charming. Got a puzzle. Got a game for the puss 4. Got an egg with hopefully candy in it. I guess I see. That's nice. All right. Anyways, short interruption of goodies.
Could we get one of those posters for school?
You're not getting mine, but if you can convince someone else to send it to you, yeah, sure, that would be great. You guys have, and it takes two poster, whatever was name, what I thought it was random thing. You'd have to pry it out of my cold dead hands. All right, so
Sounds doable.
I think it's doable. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing I did. So in fuck player, right, I didn't remove the references to the projectile class yet. If I go back into the player, here we still do the spawning here like we did before. So I'm actually gonna just remove this for a little bit. Whoops. Like so.
Does begin play work without the super begin play? Because I didn't see
No.
if it was there.
It doesn't not. So thank you. I'll do super. Thank you, inheritance. There we go. No! Okay, cool. So now if I compile, perhaps. Just maybe. Oh. Use of undefined type A weapon base. Oh, sure, because we, alright, because we instantiated the weapon without actually including a weapon base, so we should make sure to include those. So let's include, whoops. Let's include weapon base. There we go. Gotta do that. Ah! Cannot open weapon. Oh fuck yeah. Okay, it's right because we have to include from the root. So I'm just gonna do fuck slash weapon. There we go. So now maybe. Yay! It compiled. Amazing. So let's see then. Let's see what happens if I play. Okay, so nothing happens. We should be like wincing a little bit about just playing willy-nilly. Okay, so this cannot be attached to itself. Okay, so that seems good. We should have gotten like an error as well, because we tried to... Oh, here it is. Okay, it wasn't an error, it was just a warning. So here we get a warning. Spawn actor failed because no class was specified. Can someone explain to me why we're getting this error?
Because the subclass is not set to like a class like type. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't set the weapon class yet, right? So I'm gonna go into our blueprint here, our player blueprint. And I will set this weapon class. Here's none, so I'm just gonna set it to be the grenade launcher. And the nice thing about making the base class abstract is that it doesn't actually show up in this list, which is kind of nice. So we can't even set any T subclass off to the base class because it's marked as abstract. So it doesn't show up here. I mean, we can forcefully if we really want to in C++, but at least in Blueprint it doesn't show up. It like sort of filters those out, which is nice. So now, if I play, okay, nothing still happens. It's great, but if I go into output log, at least we didn't get any warnings. So that's a step in the right direction. So let's actually override fire then, and do something cool. Do something neat. So I will go into grenade launcher, and I will override fire then. So let's do void fire. Whoops. Override. Like so. Then, what was the control dot? No, wasn't it? Control. There it is. Create. There we go. The selected text does not contain any functions. You tried your best and you failed. Alright, I'll just do it manually and whatever. X a grenade launcher fire. Don't want that. All right. So we want to do something
Don't
cool.
forget to include the header file also.
Ooh, yeah, cool. Include grenade launcher. There we go. All right, so we want to do something cool when it fires. I think we should log. I think that's pretty cool. So we'll use the log temp. It's always good to log before you do anything. Log. No, not log archive, please. There we go. Text. Grenade launcher. Fire. Neat. So we overrid the fire on the grenade launcher. I think that sounds pretty cool. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it said shoot pew pew, but it's not printing grenade launcher fire. Why is that? Someone, what did I miss?
Have you selected the grenade launcher as the class?
Yeah. Actually,
Alright.
remove this as well. Yes, it's not that. That works. Anything else I missed? I'm gonna remove a bunch of temp stuff. Well, when I went into the fire, if I go into player here, where we handle the fire, handle shoot inputs, I actually never filled in to call the function on the weapon. So that's why it's never called. Because I'm never calling it. I think that makes sense. So I'm just gonna do weapon, fire. Like so. Okay. Cool. And now hopefully hooray, when I press left click it says grenade launcher fire. Very cool. Right here. So now let's spawn the actual grenade then. Oops. I'll remove the print there and I'll go into grenade launcher. So I should have copied the code instead of removing it. But how do we get the composition of the player then? We could hard code to get the first player or whatever. And then get the position from that. But if we were doing something like, maybe multiplayer or maybe the AI can pick up this thing, this grenade launcher or something, it would be nice to have sort of like an owner of the weapon or something. So I'm actually gonna do that. I'm gonna make like an owner thing. For some reason, Alt-G is still not working for me, so I'm just gonna have to go here. So I will actually make an owner variable on the weapon. So I'll make like a fuck player. Could be pawn also as well, but let's just make it player. Owner. I'll do player owner. So this variable right here will be a pointer to the player that has equipped this weapon. I think it's pretty reasonable. So I'll go ahead and forward declare the player. So now we have a reference to our owner. So now that we have that, we can use it to know where to spawn the projectile from. So in the grenade launcher, in the fire, we're going to do the same thing we did before. So I'm just going to make a transform. That's going to be our spawn transform. So the spawn transform set position. So we're going to set the location. So we're going to set the location to be player owner. And we're gonna get the camera and get the world location of that. Get let's get the component location. So we get the world location of the camera. And then you guys remember we want to offset this forward a little bit. So we want to offset it forward in the camera's forward vector. So we're gonna plus it. Plus maybe I should, you know what, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it a little bit. Actually, maybe we could do this. Okay, I'm gonna be smart. Okay, here we go. So I'm just gonna set this spawn transform. Here we go. I'm a smart boy. I'm gonna set the spawn transform to be player owner. Camera, and then get component transform. There we go. So instead of doing this stuff, I'm just gonna set the transform to be the camera's transform. We have to make sure to include the player here as well, because we're using it. So I am going to include the let's see, fuck player. There we go. So we're getting the camera and setting the spawn transform to be the camera's component transform. And this is not like transform in Unity, where the transform is a component. Right, because that's how it works in Unity. That's not how it works here. Transform is just a mathematical structure. So it's a structure containing position, rotation, and scale.
So kind of like a matrix 4x4.
Yes, it's kind of like a matrix 4x4, but simplified. So we're setting the spawn transform to be the camera's transform right now. So that kind of makes sense, but we want to offset it a little bit forward. So what I'll just do is that I will spawn transform. Is there like ads? Add the translation. Huh, that's cool. I didn't know that existed. So we're going to add the translation, I guess. That seems cool. So we're going to add translation, and what we're going to add is spawn transform. Is there get forward here? Get forward. Forward. No, I guess not. So we have to get rotation then. So get the rotation, and from the rotation I will get the forward vector. There we go. So we're going to add to the translation the spawn transforms forward vector times some nice value. So times, like, I don't know what number we use, but like 100 or something. Something like that. Cool. So that's another way to do the same thing. I'm getting an error here. Okay, that's fine. I was like, squigglies, I have to look at it, and it's like, it's bullshit, it's nothing. Why did I even fucking fall for it? So this is another way of doing the same thing we did before. I don't know, maybe it's easier, maybe it's not, doesn't really matter. But yeah, so we could have done this before as well. I think it looks nice. So now we have the spawn transform, and with the spawn transform we can now spawn the projectile. But of course, to spawn the projectile, we need a reference to the class of the projectile, right? So to do that, we need to make a T-subclass off. You guys like seeing the reasoning there? That the problem we had in the player still persists. So we still have the problem of we need to reference a blueprint class in the player, right? Because that's what we need to do to shoot the little grenade. But that problem is still here. We just move the problem to another class. So that's fine. We'll just make that a T subclass off then. So let's just make a U property here. T subclass off a projectile. Should maybe call it like flak or like grenade or something, but fuck projectile works fine. I'll call it grenade class. So, and I'll do it edit defaults only. Cool. So now we can actually spawn. Whoops. Now we can actually do get world. Get word. That's almost what I wanted. Get world. Spawn actor. So which one is the one we want? U class, spawn parameters, location. There it is. Okay, so we want the one that's class transform. Cool. So I will just do class is gonna be the grenade class, and then the transform is just gonna be spawn transform. Cool. Questions on this?
Could you do like a local to world and world to local transformation with the F transform? I'm guessing not because it doesn't have a parent, but
Well, there is kind of like that, yeah. So you can do spawn transform. Whoops. Fucking goddammit. So there's like inverse transform position, for example, which would take which would take a it will take a world position and convert that into local space. And you can also
so that's like the world position of like a theoretical parent.
Yes, something
Cool.
like that. And you can also do transform position, which will transform something from local space to world space. So transforms work the same way as matrices, where you can multiply them together to get like sort of a parent-child matrix and so on. So you can do all of that mathematics still with F transforms. So they're very similar to F matrices in that way. And that means you can do the same with inverse. You can inverse a transform and so on, and it still works.
And you can cache matrices and stuff like that as well, so you don't have to like constantly calculate inverse matrices like on tick or something.
Yeah. So you can cache these as well.
Cool.
They're very, very cool. The only thing is that the scale doesn't quite work. They do not support ununiform scale. I'm just gonna warn you guys right now. They do not support ununiform scale, so don't do it, because it looks like it works and then it doesn't. Because it doesn't give it an error. It's just like, oh, we're assuming uniform scale, so we can just do this, and it's like, no, you can't. You can't assume that.
It's good though. I'm glad. Otherwise, it would be slow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It is for speed, right? But yeah, it lulls you into a sense of security. Let's say, oh, it's like a matrix, but it's not exactly like a matrix. You do use assumptions. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, let's do this. Time's up. Let's do this. Leon. Failed? What the fuck? A fuck projectile, undeclared identifier. What does that mean? What do I need to do?
It includes
Forward declare.
projectile, I think.
Include? Should I do that? Anything else I
We
can
just
do?
forward declare it, can't we? Because it's
Not auto generated.
True, but also not in the H class. You can forward declare it.
Yeah, I would forward declare it in this case. You don't need strictly to, since the only thing we're doing is T-sub class off, and that supports forward declaration. So then we don't need to include it in the header file. We can use for declared. And then in the CPP file, we'll just go ahead and include it here. So let's see. Where did I put that actually? It's in fuck player. Okay, so fuck. I really should have made it so the fuck was like automatically included. It's so ugly to like have to write fuck in front of everything. Fuck projectile. There we go.
Also, the spawn actor. We use the templated version for that in the player.
Yeah.
And if I'm not using that, I'm getting compile errors.
Oh, we have to use it. I didn't think...
Otherwise, I was complaining about the argument list not matching because I wanted the rotation or the position rotation and scale separately instead of as a transform.
Oh, Unreal, I hate you. I hate you, Unreal. I just make it a... I'll just... fuck it, I'll just do it. Fine, I'll do a fuck projectile. Even though we're not using it for anything, we don't care what the what the return value is. So it would work fine. The only problem is that this particular type of parameter combination with a class and a transform is only defined for the template version. So we have to actually use the template version. Fine.
Is there any reason why that has to be the case? Because that just sounds like 5 minutes of someone's time to just overload a function, right? Why has no one in Unreal done that yet?
I don't know. I don't. Ask Sweeney. Now here's where I will post like the Sweeney intense emoji where he's like shaking. This is what I will use that emoji. Use of undefined type, view camera component. Okay, so that was only forward declared, so we have to include the camera as well. And where's the camera? Let's check it out. Camera components. Where could it be? Classes, camera component. All right, so camera components. There we go. Yay, hooray. Okay, so what the fuck could go wrong? Oh! No!
Oh.
It can't be! Okay, so the player owner was no pointer. Because I made the variable, right? I made the property or whatever, but I didn't set it to anything. So this is just gonna be no pointer. So we are dereferencing a no pointer. Wow! Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to revoke my programmer license. So to remedy this, we of course have to set it, because we never do that. So I'm just gonna go to the fuck player. So where we instantiate it when we are actually creating the weapon, I will also make sure just to set that, that variable. So set player owner here to this. Whoops. Like so. This is also, I would say, at least at Hazelight, this is a very common design pattern. That we have sort of like some sort of owner to something. Like something that instantiates a bunch of, I guess, children in this case. It would be kind of like children. And it will set the owner to be like, oh, this is the owner that are owning this other actor. It's a very common design pattern to do something like this. At least at Hazelight. But of course, like even, components have an owner, and there is also something called an outer, which is kind of like an owner. We haven't really talked about outers because they're kind of weird and hard to understand, but actors can have something called an outer, which you can define when you spawn it. Maybe it's a... Maybe it's a type of... Oh, it's in the spawn parameters. Okay, whatever. So in the spawn parameters, you can define something called an outer, and that's sort of up to you what that means. You get the outer from an actor. So if I just do like get outer, no. What? Why can't I do it? Isn't get outer private? Maybe it's outer private. Outer Oh, there it is. Outer. Okay, there it was. It was just a variable. No, that was something else. Why are these like so weird? What is this? Like T-shader parameter type info? That's nothing. I think it's outer private. Anyways, you can get the outer in some way. I don't remember right now. But that's just gonna be the reference to whatever you put in as an outer when you spawn the actor. And it doesn't mean anything on its own. Like the outer can be sort of whatever you want it to be. You can be like in this case we could have used the outer to define like which player owns the weapon, for example, if we decided to use the outer for that. It doesn't really matter, but it all that goes to show is that it's a very common pattern in Unreal to have sort of like I am an actor that owns something, so I will set myself as the owner on that thing. It's a very common design pattern.
But what would be the difference then between using an outer and the owner? Like, what's the point of an outer in this case? Or do you have another example of where you would use an outer?
Well, that's why outers can. That's why I haven't even mentioned it, because outers are kind of weird. Like sometimes they're used, most times they're not. So that's why it's like, okay, you can use outer, but then it's like it will just be a U object pointer that you kind of have to cast to stuff. So usually, if I'm gonna have an owner like that, I will just make my own sort of owner property, because then I can set it to be like a player, for example, so then I don't have to like cast it to a player. And they're kind of secret how you set the outer. You like pass it in as like a parameter here. It's kind of secret. So that's why you could use those if you wanted to, but I usually just make my own anyways.
Okay.
So that's why outers are, they're nothing you need to remember that they are a thing. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it's just because the design pattern is very common.
Okay, but it's like it's internal, so the object keeps track of its outer, so you don't have to create an owner. So that would be the you don't have to create a variable. That's the owner. That would be okay, I get it.
Yeah, and it's sometimes used for garbage collection as well. Like if the outer gets garbage collector, then the thing that the outer is pointing to also gets garbage collected. It's sometimes used for that, sometimes not. It's very weird. Either way, now that I'm left clicking, it's saying spawn actor failed because no class was specified. Boo-hoo.
Have you specified a projectile in the grenade launcher?
No, we have not set any projectile because it's a T-sub class off. We only made the T-sub class off, but we haven't set it. So how would we remedy this situation?
Override in blueprint and set it there, I guess?
Yes, that's the only way we would be able to fix this. And this is why, making stuff blueprint override is almost always the default thing you do first, because once something is in blueprints, pretty much everything has to be blueprints, right? The player, we made like the projectile blueprint, which means we had to make the player blueprint, and now we have to make the weapon blueprint to set the reference to the projectile blueprint. So it's like, as soon as something becomes blueprint version, then everything becomes a blueprint version. So that's why, as a rule of thumb, if you make a new class, a new actor, then it's fine. It's fair just to make it a blueprint version right away. So we're gonna have to go in here. I'll make a weapon here. So I'll make a weapon folder. So I'll override our grenade launcher here. There we go. Whoops. Let's call it BP underscore grenade launcher. Alright, cool. So now that we have the actor here, it's actually adding a default scene root here. I think we can remove that? No, we actually can't. Okay, so when we make it in Blueprint, it's going to add a default scene root, and we cannot remove this. That's kind of interesting. So, anyways, now it will actually have a root, so it will have a position in the world, but it doesn't matter. It won't be visible or anything. So now that we have the BP version of the grenade launcher, we can go into class defaults, and we can set the grenade class here. So now we can actually set it to be this BP for projectile. Like so. Any predictions about what's gonna happen?
Well, you still can get the error. You're not using the blueprinted grenade launcher, are you?
Yes, good call. So we made a blueprint version, but we're still using the C++ version on the player. right? And that still doesn't have any references. So we need to update the reference on the player to actually use the blueprint version of the grenade launcher. So that's a good reason why we could have made this grenade launcher also as an abstract. Because now we have 2 grenade launchers here, and that will you know, upset our scared level designers. They will see 2 and be like, oh, what do I pick? So that'd be a good way to be like, okay, you're not supposed to be able to actually instantiate this one. You're supposed to use the BP version. Make this one abstract. That could be a good call to make. Ah, yay, it works, hooray. Okay, so now we can actually shoot our nice projectile again. So now, excuse me. So now we've patched our previous gun to use the new weapon system. So with that patch, hopefully later or very soon, we will be able to actually make more than one gun. So we can make it so we can switch between the grenade launcher and some sort of assault rifle that shoots ray traced beams or something. I think that sounds pretty neat. Alright, any questions on that? Concerns, scares, fears?
Is the weapon switchable right now?
No. Right now we cannot switch the weapon. So all we've done is just sort of recreated what we had before, but with the new weapon system. So that now it will be much easier to actually swap it out for something else. Cool. So we made this. So after the break, we're gonna make an assault rifle, and I think that will be pretty fun. So yeah, as I said before, we're gonna start at 14, just so I can join in on the release party thingy for a little bit, just hang around there. So at 14, we'll continue on, and then we'll just go to 15. Like, we won't go longer. I don't want to spring more time on you than I said we were gonna do. So we'll just go to 15. So we'll just do 1 more hour. But it's fine since we're gonna go on Monday anyways. You won't have a day in between, so maybe it's fine that this one is a little bit shorter. Then we can take weekends.
Can you, like, does it take long for you to upload the recording of this morning? Because I kind of missed the first hour because I was sleeping.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll upload the code.
No, I meant like the recording or the.
Oh, the video. Yeah, sure. I can upload the video.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Cool. No problem. All right, guys. Have a great lunch, and I'll see you at 14 at 2. So 2-hour lunch. So see you in a bit. Bye bye. What's up, you sexy babies?